Hi y'all, it's been a long time, but I think it's time to do a bit of an update on my cross stitch. Hi, my name is Erica, and this is Big Stitchy Dreams, a channel where I'm going to talk a lot about my cross stitch. One thing that you should know about me, if this is your first video, which is possible because I haven't uploaded in a while, and if you are a returning viewer, thank you for sticking around. I know it's been like 2 months, maybe. But this Friday is my birthday, so I'm doing a couple of new Heaven and Earth design starts. So I decided, why not go ahead and mark those now? Also, here's my cat. His name is Brew, and he loves to be around me the moment I turn on the camera. Don't think he's gonna stay here because I'm about to bend over. But one thing you should know about me as a stitcher, which I was going to say earlier, is that I am currently in love with Heaven and Earth designs. I love full coverage. I have really bad anxiety, so having something that is tactile enough that it keeps my hands busy so I'm not sitting here just kind of twiddling my thumbs and getting worked up. But it also engages my brain enough that I'm, again, not tunneling down. But again, it's still easy enough to be something that I do to relax. So I really enjoy all of these things. He looks very happy right now, but he does have his claws dug into my knee so that he can sit there. We'll see if he stays. He probably won't. I've tried a few different types of cross stitching. I've tried to do a sampler. I've tried some different like pop culture-y kind of cross stitches, and they just really don't call to me. I enjoy starting them. I get a lot of fun out of starting them, but I'm definitely a process stitcher. I'm not someone who is rushing to get finishes or anything. So that's just me. So if you like Heaven and Earth designs as much as I do and love watching people stitch them and how they look, I think you'll really enjoy this channel. But yeah, let's talk about last 2 months of progress. So you get the piece that I probably worked the least on, just because the colors of it aren't really calling to me right now, is Amy Stewart, Heroes and Heroines, charted by Heaven and Earth Designs. Here is my progress. I have to hold it pretty far back for you all to see that. I think I have 10.5 pages of this piece done. I'll bring it in now so that you can see it a little better. I got most of this done before April. I haven't really touched it since April. You can also see that I'm going back and doing something no, Brew, don't sit on all my, don't get on all my cross stitch. Don't play with my needles. Which is what he's doing. He's gonna go right back to doing it. But you can see as I'm going back, and I used to park, because I used to, when I didn't have Pattern Keeper, which, whew, love Pattern Keeper so much, I use it on my Kindle. There's a way that if you want to use your Kindle for it, technically you can't get it on there, but if you download the Google, he's on my cross stitch, if you download the Google Play Store, it's really easy to go from there and get it, so you can just follow the steps. You can just Google it. Takes probably about 30 minutes to do, but shouldn't be that hard. And if you have any questions, you can ask me down below, and I'll see if I can post a link to what I found and how to do it. But a lot of people, like, just Google it. It's super easy to do. But yeah, as you can see, I used to park, but I'm now going back and getting rid of all my parked threads, because I don't want to have any lines. Like, right now I'm really, really worried that this is going to end up being a really bad line, and so is this, as well as all of this. Just because how long this is sitting, I'm worried about page break lines and things. But yeah, I really love this piece, and I want it done, but the way that I have it right now, nothing is calling to me. But I do think that when I go back to this piece, which I will eventually, because I do love it and I do want it done. Bro, come on, don't give yourself a bath on Mama's cross stitch. Come on, go on, get. Bubby, come on. You can either be in my lap or over here, not on my cross stitch. I've had to take them all out of their, I've taken them all out of their Q-snaps because I've done so much on them since you last saw them. But yes, this was my 2020 start, and I'm about 15% of the way through it. I really love how it looks, and again, I do want it done, but the colors just aren't calling to me like some of the colors on the other pieces. I definitely think this is more of a wintry piece for me because the colors, again, are those kind of warmer shades. But to, again, talk about how my stitching has changed. Like I said, I was going page by page and block by block, or doing a color, and as you can see there, kind of on this page right here, I was going by diagonal, so I'd go through, find a color, and then go through and complete that color, and then go up and park it somewhere. But if I show you the back of doing that, oh my goodness, the threads are ridiculous. Like, the amount of carrying, like, look at how gross that is, like, up here. And yes, there's a lot of carrying here, but that I feel like is okay because that's just going to happen in Heaven and Earth Designs. When you have people, they're always going to be a lot, but I feel like it's a lot better than that, because, like, look at that. That's a lot of just waste, where I could have easily just gone through here and just finished all of that color, which I think you'll see in my other pieces. But yes, this piece definitely has the worst back, probably my worst stitching, because it was my first time doing 1/1 on 25 count. My stitching has definitely gotten a lot better than some of the stuff you can see up here. The tension is really tight. I got a little better at being a little looser. I wasn't yanking on the needle as much. I was definitely being a little more kind of loose as I went on with my stitching. But, you know, we've all got a project that we have to start on. This is just my start. At least in Heaven and Earth Designs. So I'm going to move on to the piece that has the most work on it, that I absolutely adore and am in love with. And is actually probably the first one that's ever going to be done of my Heaven and Earth Designs, because I love it so, so much. I've got to move my cat again, so give me a second. I know, Bubby. I might have to stand up to show you this one. I think I'm going to. Or see if I can scoot back enough. But this is Once Upon a Fairy Tale by Heaven and Earth Designs. So, let me fold it a little and then show you so I can see and be on screen at the same time. That right there is the bottom right corner. And then this over here is the top left corner. That was me freaking out and being like, what if this doesn't fit on the fabric? Because I thought I had seen it done, thought I had got all my measurements correctly, but then I got on Facebook and there was a woman, on the Heaven and Earth Facebook group who was like, I was working on this project for 3 years, I don't have enough room on this piece, I'm devastated. And I was like, oh my god, what if that happens to me? So I went through, and I will get a little closer so that I can talk through it. There's going to be a castle up here. I'm sure a lot of you know this. This is one of probably the most done, I think it's on the list of the most worked on, or at least most bought, Heaven and Earth Designs. And then I have, that's one of, oop, wonderful face right there. This is one of the central towers. And then this scene right here, stand up a little, is completely done. All of that is completely done. Really love how it looks, especially on screen. I think on camera it looks really, really good. Because when you get close, it kind of gets pixely, but of course, that's what happens with Heaven and Earth Designs. I didn't do the max color supersized. I don't think I'm ever going to do a supersized piece just because the practicality of hanging it. I'm most likely going to live in apartments my whole life, so the thought of having a supersized piece somewhere and trying to hang it in an apartment is a lot. But I have the boat down there is also completely done, as is the book. So I think I've got this first kind of roof bit of this tower done. I think I'm going to go back down and finish one of the gargoyles. But I also want to make it so I also think I'm going to go up and finish the side of this piece and kind of do like I did over here and just do one block all the way up, so that when it gets to be winter and it snows, I can work. There's a really good snowy piece, snowy part of this piece that I want to work on when I work on this piece in winter. Because where I live, it doesn't snow very often, but it most likely will snow at least twice this year, most likely. So I want to be able to work on that snowy bit when it's snowing. And also, I know you can't see it, but I'm right in front of a window, and my couch is, that's where I stitch, right there. And so I can sit and watch it snow and sit and stitch this piece. And I think that would be a lot of fun. So let's get to my new starts. Those of you who have been following me since the beginning know, or maybe probably forgot by this point, because I think I started in like March. It's what, 7 months later? And I've done like 8 videos, 9, maybe 10. It's been so long, I don't even know what video I'm on. But I was like, I'm gonna get halfway through this Heaven and Earth Designs before I start another one. Okay, I'm gonna start the other one just so that I have something else to work on. And then September rolled around, and I finished a piece from my mom. It was not a Heaven and Earth design, it was just a regular cross stitch, and I was like, well, I finished something, I should be able to start something, right? So I started something. My first of 2 that I have started. I have another piece of fabric coming in that I plan on starting another thing on probably around later this week, I think is when it's coming in, and then I'm going to start it most likely that day. So this is Celeste, charted by Heaven and Earth Designs. It's one of the newer releases. I think it came out in June or July. I think it was June, because I saw it the first time when I was on vacation at a cabin. We did it socially distanced, you know, we were completely safe, brought all our own food and everything, and then just stayed in a cabin for a week. It was great, wonderful, super fun. But yes, this is probably about 4 days of working on it. This piece is much smaller. Oh no, I lost her. There she is. This piece is much smaller, and there is the left corner. It looks like right corner to you all, but it's left corner. And yeah, this is a really large piece. The piece itself will probably only come to probably about there. And it is longer than it is wide, but it's still, compared to the other ones, I think it's only 100,000 stitches, which is a third of my other pieces. So maybe this one will get done, but it's gonna be me when I'm in a very specific mood to stitch very specific colors, because there's a lot of pastel colors, which are my favorite colors. Do not be wrong, I love stitching with blues and pinks. They're my favorite to stitch with. But again, when I'm pretty anxious and I need to be like changing things a lot, this will not be the piece I go to. Because while, yes, there's probably about 30 colors in this area, they're all very similar. While in Once Upon a Fairy Tale, I can work in a blue section and then be like, I want to go work. No, Bubby, please don't bathe yourself in my cross stitch. I want to go work on some yellows, and I can just go and do that. But with this piece, and it's also my first piece that's not on gridded fabric. I love the coverage of this piece. I think I love the coverage, you know, even more. I think this is 1/1, 32 count. It's not Ada, and it's not linen, and it's something that I saw a lot of people like, don't do full coverage on this, and I was like, but I really like the coverage. And like, that's even with dark colors, and even when I get it close on screen, you know, I just like it. I really like how this is working up. I like it because even though it says that it's smaller, I just feel like it's easier to work with. But that is 100% me. A lot of people don't like working with it. Also, something that I meant to talk about, let me move my cat again, because he's being a little jerk, laying on my stuff. As you can see on this piece, I am doing front ends again. So this piece has probably got one of my better backs for Heaven and Earth Designs. I need to go through there and like trim some of the longer ends. But I'm doing a front. So pretty much what I do when I'm doing this is I bring it over, usually I bring it over 10 stitches, because in my other ones it's super easy. I just go, depending on which way I'm working, like on my fairy tale piece, I am doing up. I go up one square and then park it in the top right corner. So then whenever I finish 2 stitches along that edge, in that, and then also at least 10 to 15 stitches in the box, I snip it in the front, just to go ahead and end off those threads. If there's ever an issue where maybe I'm doing a ninja stitch in a big place that's already completed, I will go and do a back end. But I found that this has sped up my stitching quite a bit, because I'm not constantly flipping my Q-snap over and over and over again. Because I haven't found a scroll frame that I like a lap stand that I like, so I can't just like flip it over and then end it and then flip it back over. It's like I have to completely flip the piece and then flip the piece back over, which I mean probably takes the same amount of time, but in my head it's like, oh my god, that's so long that I could be spending stitching. But yeah, this is my first cross stitch start. So yeah, it's also my first non-Amy Stewart that I did for Heaven and Earth Designs, but first time for everything. So then I have a piece that I started yesterday. I have approximately 1,200 stitches in this piece. It is the Max Color regular size Thomas Kincaid Santa's Workshop charted by Heaven and Earth Designs. Beautiful piece, absolutely adore it. And here's where I am. There are 3 or 4 stitches missing because I do not have the color. So I know that some of you are gonna be like, you're gonna hear this and you're like, oh my god. But what I do is I have a master set of DMC. And when I say master set, it is not complete. I go through and I buy DMC colors as I need them. I have personally never had a dye issue. I've been cross-stitching for approximately 3 years, and I've never had a DMC dye lot issue. And since we're all so connected nowadays, especially with like Facebook and Instagram and YouTube, I feel like if there's ever a dye lot issue, I will hear about it. And there will always be enough back storage that if there is ever a dye lot issue, I feel like you can go through and like eBay, I want this very specific dye lot. But that is all to say that I do not kit up Heaven and Earth Design projects. Might be the smarter thing to do, might save me some grief down the line, but also a lot of these colors, I only need a skein of it. And when I say a skein of it, I mean 200 stitches, which I can get out of 2 lengths of thread, you know, if they're all close together, or, you know, I mean 1 length of thread, 6 strands, like easily I can get 200 stitches out of that. I'm pretty economical with my stitching. And so I don't go through and say, oh, this has 127, 135. I'm going to go through and buy all those, because that's like, this piece has 235 skeins. That's $115 at least that I'm paying before taxes for this piece. Plus I think I got this one on sale for half off, so, you know, $9 that I spent on the pattern. That's a lot of money. So I just have a master set, and then I have a list on my phone anytime I look up, oh, I don't have this color. And I go to Joann's, because they are my favorite craft store in town, because I don't have a local needlework shop. Sadly, my local needlework shop shut down this time last year, I think. So it's been a year that they've been shut down, which is really sad. But, you know, sadly, that's the way that local businesses are going right now, and it really, really makes me sad. But it's like living in a college town with a whole bunch of young kids. So, yes, this is my work in a day, approximately, maybe a little more than that. 1,200 stitches. I'm really excited to not work on black and dark colors anymore. That's why this is kind of the upper corner of the pattern. There will be a chimney coming in soon, I hope. I'm gonna keep working on this until I feel like I don't want to work on it anymore. But I am, I think, more so gonna let myself just kind of choose what I want to work on. I think that'll help my stitching. I think it will, because that's what I've been doing, is I haven't pushed myself to work on specific projects. I think that slows down my stitching. I think it slows down, I mean, it slows me down because I don't want to do it. You know, if there's a piece that I genuinely don't want to work on for a silly reason, you know, maybe I just haven't worked on it in a while and I'm not the most in love with it, doing that 200 to 300 stitches for a challenge seems to take 3 times as long. You know, I can usually bust out, you know, if I sit down for 6 hours, I can stitch 1,000 stitches. Pattern Keeper has sped me up that much. Like, I can, with the way that I'm stitching right now, I can stitch in 6 hours 1,000 stitches. But if I'm doing it on a project I don't like, I can maybe get 506 hours because I get bored. You know, I check my phone, I look something up on YouTube, I change the videos more often. So I'm just trying to keep myself in a place where it's like, oh, I want to work on this project. I think it'll be fun. But yeah, that's why I'm going to work on this piece until I get done with it, and then I'm probably going to go back to Once Upon a Fairy Tale, or even Celeste. Now that I've seen Celeste again, I kind of want to work on it. But we'll see. It is fall in Kentucky, which is exciting. Last week it was in the 60s, which is my personal favorite weather, but this week it'll be in the 70s. Mid to high most of the time, which is meh, but still pretty good fall weather. Much better than the 40s to 20s we will be seeing starting in November. So I'm excited. But yeah, I think that's about it. That's all I have to say, really. Other than the patterns, which I will be starting another piece, like I said, as soon as the fabric gets in. That one will be The Elementals by Josephine Wall. I'm a big fan of fantasy settings, which is why all the pieces that you've seen have all been based upon, like, fictional things. I would be very surprised if I ever sat down and just stitched, like, a landscape. I don't really see myself ever doing that. Let me get something to drink because I'm getting cherry Coke, which I had with my dinner, but now I'm drinking what's left of it. Yeah, I don't ever see myself sitting down and doing, like, a portrait of a woman or anything that's very realistic. So yeah, I am kind of sad. Those of you who watched my older videos know that I was doing this Muka Rapunzel for my sister's graduation. I don't think I'm gonna finish that piece. I really just don't like stitching on it. I might get it framed so that you can just see what I've got done and it's just her face, which I think is fine and is good enough. You know, I think it's good enough. I think it's more likely that she'll be able to find somewhere to frame it rather than the ginormous piece that it would have been done when it's done, you know. Especially if she moves into a dorm or an apartment, I think that would be a lot more economical to actually get hung and realistic. But it still does sadden me because I really like that piece. I just don't like the fabric it was on. I don't think I like stitching 2/2. I don't like working on linen. I think Like, I don't want to say I love Ada Life because I work on 28 count Witchelt most of the time. But I do like the smaller crosses. I like smaller, I don't know, I just do. And maybe one day when my eyes start going bad, which if you can see by the thickness of my frames, which you can't see right now, but they're pretty thick, will happen, especially this side, sooner rather than later for me. But anyways, that's all for me, folks. Hopefully I'll see you next week, maybe in 2 weeks, maybe at the end of the month. I don't know. I'll figure out some sort of uploading schedule. School's going fine. I am a foreign language and international economics major. I'm learning Russian. It's a lot of fun. Really enjoy it. And writing a few different papers right now. Really super fun. Really super cool. Won't go on about them here because you probably are not interested. But yeah, Russian history is super fun and cool. Read about it if you have time. There's great audiobooks about it. Lots of great audiobooks, especially about cooking in Russia. I don't know, I've just found that out. Anyways, I hope you all have a great stitching week, great stitching month, great stitching end of the year. To those of you who are doing fun Halloween and Christmas starts, love to see them. Keep going. Super proud of you. Again, good luck. Hope you find all the joy that you need to in stitching, and see you later. Bye, y'all.